you guys ready? What?
Are you?
I'm ready. What? I mean, who wants to go
I'm 3 minutes
first?
past my
Who
deadline
wants to go
already.
first? What question you want first?
You're the host.
Well, I mean, like, who wants?
What? I don't care.
Well, I guess the first question that people, I guess, kind of wanted to know was talking about the recent drama. But Darren, this is probably going to be for you. Somebody asked, given the recent drama with various orgs, how has your experience been in terms of communication with Ubisoft and getting information for you and your players regarding formats of the new league?
Okay. Well, can't say too much, I guess, but I can't go in too deep. But I mean, we knew about this in November. So, and communication has been excellent ever since then. So, I mean, we meet, you know, nearly 2-3 times a month with Ubisoft and all the other teams, and have a great line of communication. So, the Reddit drama couldn't be further from the truth, unfortunately.
So you didn't take EG and LG?
No. Super's dad bought them without, and no, I'm joking.
Do you have
No,
any more
we did not.
insight of like what happened with EG and LG? Because that still seems to be a pretty big question.
I can't speak on behalf of their orgs, but all I could say is, from my point of view, if I knew in November that this was coming, and I didn't want my team, and I knew I wasn't going to be a part of it, why would I have played season 12?
What is going on over there?
The dog.
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
That would be my from my opinion. You know, if I wasn't going to do this with you guys, why would I keep you on through season 12? Why would I continue all the way up to where we are now? So that would be, I mean, I guess, unless you're trying to, you know, COVID's changed everything, so we can't blame everyone because nobody knew, you know, the whole ecosystem has changed. But like I said, this was not a surprise. We all had to apply for this. And then Ubisoft picked the teams, and I believe it was supposed to be 10 teams originally, and now it's 8. So, I mean, unfortunate for the players, but I think the whole of the community needs to realize that this is a brand new league, not a continuation of Pro League. Pro League and Challenger League now have ended. And
Pro League is
new
done.
ecosystem. It is, and it's, you know, as an esport, Rainbow Six is growing, and it needs to evolve. So.
What is happening?
You know what it's like in that room. There's dogs everywhere. Oh.
Harvey's losing full composure.
It's not yours. He was chewing his mouse pad up.
Uh-oh.
Knock it off, Harv.
Get over here. Hey.
Sorry, he got Slevin's mouse
Why
pad
do,
off the
why,
desk.
why do we have a dog?
Bad
Going
dog.
with?
He was going nuclear on Slevin's mouse.
All right, Kevin, this one's for you. What has it been like adjusting from Rogue to the Soniqs? What has been the biggest difference you have encountered?
For me at least, I think the main thing is on Rogue we had like a coach, but on Soniqs we really don't have a coach. We do everything ourselves, and also we try to play like a lot more organized, so the play style is like a little different. But at the same time, I think playing organized is like a lot easier, but it just takes longer to get used to. But once you're actually like in the system, I feel like it just works like clockwork.
Darren Profi wants to know how old you are.
I'm 32.
all
Most people
right.
think I'm older. Well, no. 32.
So this is in regards to the R6 leakers tweet. Is it true that you guys are trialing NJR and Rexon?
Yes. Well, wait.
Are you leaking?
That just happened yesterday. So
Somebody asked.
Dude,
we played with NJR yesterday. We actually haven't even played with Rexon yet. We're playing with him today, so I don't know how. Okay.
I don't know.
Bro, somebody gotta tell Iconic to give it a rest with that account. Bro. Like,
Have we just confirmed that Lauren's R6 leakers? Only she would know.
Somebody asked. So I'm at.
But yeah, no, we have a list of like five people will probably try, and that's not saying that we've like officially like decided not to pick up Sweater, but in my opinion, we should have. We were pretty inconsistent with what we were for how long we've been playing with Sweater. It's about a month, so I thought at that point it would kind of be irresponsible to at least not look at the other options, because obviously once we decide on who we pick up, they like come out here and stuff like that. So we don't want to be like, yeah, Sweater, come here, and then he moves here or whatever, and then we're just like, like, so I think we need to decide, like, obviously before we bring anybody out here. So we're just looking at options, but yeah, we haven't. I mean, there's nothing official like about Rexon. I mean, we haven't even played with him yet. He's playing today, and we played with NJR yesterday. So I mean, like, it's not like we've had like a in-depth discussion about it or anything yet.
I think we should try out Tribizzle.
Yeah, we're thinking about.
I've seen Darren play this
looking
game.
for-
It's not good.
We're looking for a shield main, so
I don't even own the game, so you got no chance there. Unless one of you wants to buy it for me.
I don't make enough money.
Me neither.
All right, this is for, I guess, everybody. Who has the weirdest habits, says the weirdest things, or is the weirdest person overall? No.
That's not hard, is it? Do you want to take the lead on this one, Kevin?
Who, me? It's gotta be Slebin. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be Seth for sure.
Yeah, it's super.
I mean,
100%.
have you guys ever met a person who drinks like 1,200 milligrams of caffeine every day and is healthy as a horse? I don't think so.
Yeah. All he eats is nuts and drinks Diet Coke and takes fish oil and
And looks
apparently
like a
never
lumberjack.
ages. And he never ages. So yeah, no, so 100%. And he has some weird sayings. None of them off the top of my head, but I've never heard somebody talk about their own education as much as Super. I don't know about you, Lauren, but Super definitely likes to say.
You never heard
But-
the many, the
I just
many
like,
mouths.
some people like to act up, and I like to put them in their place.
Okay, well, this goes to the next question. Do you actually hate crazy?
Oh.
Yeah.
Why?
Can you explain why? Do you
Is
know
this being
why?
uploaded to YouTube?
Yes.
Then no, I can't.
Okay. I won't ask. Well, I guess the next one is: has anybody ever surprised you skill-wise that you may have thought was absolutely awful?
Well, I thought like Iconics team in general was pretty stupid, but they sent me like a couple of VODs because obviously we're considering like one or two of them or three of them as a tryout. So, watching their VODs, they're kind of stupid, but it's like coordinated stupid. So in that regard, like, because we have them blacklisted because of how stupid they are. So that was somewhat surprising. I'm trying to think if there's like a pro player. I mean, there are some people who are like reverse of that. Like,
You thought were good but are actually awful?
yeah.
Say who?
I mean, I thought MVK was good at one time.
Nice.
Okay, I won't go any more in depth. with that.
Okay, we're
I
good.
think I'm an NJR stan. I think that guy's the best player not in Pro League.
There you go.
All right, Darren, you ready? Why did
Yeah.
you decide to get into R6, and what drew you to the original E-Gang roster?
All right. Well, I just seen somebody ask in chat when we got me into esports. So I'll just two birds with one stone. I used to be a coach I used to be involved in professional soccer. About 7 years ago, started playing. 6-7 years ago, started streaming for fun. Got involved, went to a few Twitch cons, met a few people. They were begging out for people to experienced coaches, man management figures in League of Legends. So that's how I got involved. And then I just went from step to step there. When I took the opportunity here, they had a completely different plan when they hired me, and I said, listen, this opportunity has arisen. I'd started speaking to Supr. I was like, Rainbow Six, did my homework, looked like it was on a great trajectory. So yeah, we jumped straight in. What attracted me to E-Gang? Obviously, Supr. A smart guy.
You ain't kidding.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
After meeting Super, how could I say? Remember that first winter's day you guys flew out
Yeah, it was
to
freezing.
Harrisburg?
Yeah.
Exactly. How could I say no after that?
What do you guys think about the DG roster, and do you think it has potential to be good? I guess that's for all of you, both of you.
My only issue with that roster is they don't have like a leader. Like, there's no like person on that team who's like an alpha, like the alpha, who's gonna be like the leader and like keeping everyone in check. And they
Can't
don't have
see
a
Reed
coach
being
either.
the alpha.
So I don't think that team. I think that team needs like some kind of like a backbone. Like I think it could be fine if they just get a good coach, but right now that's like my only issue with that team. Everyone on that team is like pretty good as a player. So
What do you think, Super? Be nice.
Do you think they have potential?
I thought the one thing that I was a little confused about, like obviously they have their own reasons, but I thought it was interesting that given what we knew about like the LG and EG rosters, that Disrupt elected to pick up like a team from scratch rather than pick up probably not EG because they were pretty awful, but like LG obviously was like in that 4 to 7 range in terms of the teams, so that means they're not really in relegation danger. So I thought that was, I mean, obviously Cashflow is a pretty smart guy, so I think he has trust in like whatever their vision is there, but I think that's it could be a little bit risky, obviously, to go the route they chose rather than maybe the more sure bet, I guess you'd say. But yeah, I mean, they do obviously have like good players. Maybe they haven't had like as recent success. Obviously, I think the biggest question mark is probably I mean, Yardy was pretty effective in Challenger League, but obviously he hasn't played in Pro League because they dropped him before he was able to play there. And then Reed was not very good in Challenger League, and then he had a pretty good like run with United last season, but then he kind of tailed off as well as he kept playing. So I think those two guys are question marks, because I think like with Nyx, you know what you're gonna get, and I think with Retro, like he's obviously a established player. He's won 2 events, and then with Shuttle, also won a couple events. He was a great player on Rogue, and then obviously the past Pro League season on Rogue, he was not himself. So that's more of a team where they can like, if the people that they're hoping can continue like the upward trend do, and the other people can go back to kind of their past form, they'll be good. But I mean, that just seems like a lot of could be's. But yeah, I mean, I think they're not going to be like awful or anything. I just think it was just an interesting decision with that roster.
And I obviously have no idea. I hope they do well. I've not seen, I don't know too much about them, so I wouldn't want to put them down before giving them a chance. So yeah, I hope they do well.
All right.
As well as us.
Next one is, during the quarantine, have you guys been binge watching?
No.
I rewatched all of Breaking Bad, and then I've been watching The Blacklist.
I've never seen Breaking Bad. Can you believe it?
It's pretty good.
Bro, if you gotta get on.
I'm actually surprised you haven't seen it. All right. Next one, Darren. Why are the Soniqs based in Harrisburg? We're used to seeing Orange,
that's where our
LA, Vegas, and Austin. Why Harrisburg?
That's where our investors are based out of. There's no large esports orgs in the tri-state area, so why not? That would be my big answer to that would be why not? Why LA is very expensive. Harrisburg is not. We're based 3 hours from New York, 3.5 hours from New York, an hour from Philly, 3 hours from Pittsburgh, an hour from Baltimore. Pretty well situated place, I think.
Who would win in a fight, Slevin or Gonfi?
Slevin.
I mean, Slevin is like 6'5", so
I mean, on paper I say Slevin, but I don't know. Like you never know because like
Gonfi would be worried about his face.
in EU they have like don't they have like mandatory military service? So if Gonfi did that, he might know some crazy shit. So I don't
I
know.
don't think
man.
Gonfi was ever part of that.
So yeah, I mean,
I think Gonfi would be very, very worried about what he'd look like afterwards.
yes, that's true. Slevin probably wouldn't care.
You have to jump to punch him in the face, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't, because you're 20 foot tall, also. Yeah, no, I think that's a unanimous Iceman.
Darren, do you have any idea as to how the relegations will work after the season, or what would you like to see happen?
All I know is that relegations do exist. And it's going to be, I think it's the bot. I'm not sure. I think it's the bottom team at the end of the season plays top team challenger. That's all I know. I can't go too much into the format because it's not released yet. So unfortunately, I can't tell you.
Let's see. What are your guys' thoughts on NA going to LAN, and how do you think it's going to affect the Siege esports in the future?
I think it's a great step forward. All the tier 1 esports are pretty much on LAN, right? It helps with production quality, story narrative, creating content, takes it to a more professional level. I think it's something Siege, if it wanted to continue growing, had to do. And I think the way they've done it and where it's situated and how it's going to be once COVID's over is only going to, propel the scene further.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, playing on LAN is better than playing online, in just multiple regards. Some teams are also just better online, or vice versa. So, I think obviously the sooner we can get to like a LAN league, the better. Obviously.
Are you guys excited to be back in Vegas?
I mean, I don't really go anywhere, so I don't care.
Yeah, Vegas is way better than any other city.
I love Vegas.
Thing with Harrisburg is like if you walk outside at like 2 a.m., you never know what the f happened.
What you mean?
Might get homeless people are crazy out here. Vegas.
It is wild.
You do live smack bang in the middle of the city, though. If you've ever lived smack bang in the middle of a city, it doesn't matter what city you're in. There's crazy people everywhere.
That's true.
So, no, I'm looking forward to it. Vegas should be good. Having a team house, having a team facility over there. The players being able to play on LAN settings, and it takes away any variables that make it less competitive. So no, I think it's going to be very exciting, and I think you may see one or two teams doing better or worse than expected because it's going to be on a LAN league and people perform better or worse at LAN. So.
What are your guys' expectations for next season? Like how you guys think you will do?
8th place for sure. No,
Last in relegation.
I mean, obviously, we kind of have some variables that go into that. Like right now, we don't even have our set 5th, but I would say I don't think we're like going to be in last place. I think we're in that like 4th to 7th range right now. Obviously, whoever our 5th is could swing that upward or downward, I guess. But just based off of scrims, I would say the only team that really works us is SSG, and that's like, I mean, they're just way better than everyone right now.
Yep.
But we play everybody else. Like we can win maps and go back and forth. So I'd say right now we're in that 4th to 7th range. I think one of the reasons we're like specifically looking at people who are maybe more potential based than like direct result, outside of Rexon, obviously, who's a proven commodity, is I think we feel like anyone we pick up, we're still pretty safe in that 4 to 7 range. So if we can pick up somebody who we think, has the potential to become, one of the, like an elite level player, like a Rampy or Bolo, like that kind of a hyper kind of thing, where you just kind of take a risk on a younger guy. I think that we're in a place where we feel like we can do that without like putting ourselves in relegation territory. But obviously, you never know, I guess, until you start playing.
I'd be happy with top 5. Anything in the top 5, I think first season would be great.
Yeah,
And
I'm personally
six
for
or
picking
seven
up
would
a young
be
gun. Like that's my personal opinion. Like back on Rogue, like when we were struggling, like this was like before even like SSG picked them up, but like we were thinking about trying giving Fultz a shot. And like looking back on it now, like we would have been like we're like idiots for not doing that.
Yeah.
But like back then it was like you never knew. Like if we would have just taken the risk, like that guy developed to become like the best player in the almost one of the best players in the world after like a season. So just looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, even on this team, it was either right around when we joined this org or before. I think both. Like, at one point, we were going to pick up Hyper, and then we would have dropped Avian for Bolo when he turned 18. So we would have had Ghost, Hyper, Bolo on that team. And then at a later date, we also tried out Merc. Before Lauren was dropped, we tried out Merc, and this was obviously before he had any CL experience at all, and we didn't pick up Merc. So like
he was supposed to
They
be
had him.
for it,
They had
wasn't
him
he?
playing Ying.
yeah.
He
So
was gonna-
so we've
Yeah,
always
Merc was going to keep points in
Yeah,
that tournament, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. I also tried to pick up Merc when TSM was still EXG, and he was filling in for Lauren at the tournament. But I also wanted to use that to kind of gauge him as a potential replacement for Ghost or Avian there, probably Avian. But for whatever reason, he was unable to go. So we ended up using Beastly at that event. But yeah, I mean, I personally have always kind of had my eye on like potential people because, you know, I don't want to be like the team, not to like roast, but like, you know, the kind of teams that they don't give up and coming players a shot, and then they kind of they start getting like washed because, you know, they're stuck in like old ways. So I've kind of always given like younger players, I guess, opportunities, or had my eye on them at least.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think there's a lot of underagers right now that I could see being like really good pro league one day. Like Sweater, for example, like is one of them. NJR, Lags, Iconic, and then there's someone else. I forget their name, but those are
Yeah.
like the ones that stand out to me.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to Sweater, like whether we ended up going with him or not, you know, we signed him as a content creator before he was even 18 with the idea that he could step into the roster when he was 18. Like obviously we have no doubt he can kill people. Like he's a gunner for sure. It's more so with him, like a lot of the other underagers have been like on teams and scrimming or playing like CCS or ESCA or whatever, those kind of like underage leagues where Sweater literally was just like playing rank. So like, you know, asking a guy who's going from rank to step into play at like a pro league level and understand the like the utility based side of the game and like all that kind of thing, it's asking a lot for sure. So I mean that's mainly why we're trying people out, because you know I like to get an idea of what the other underage kind of players have, or like the new 18 players have, in terms of like their understanding of the game. Or if they're all the same, then I think Sweater is obviously the best option there, just because I think in terms of just being a gunner, like, you know, we've had scrims against TSM, for instance, where Sweater would drop 20. It's just so like the inconsistency where then the next map he drop like 1. So like, yeah. There's definitely a lot of potential out there, but I think I know it became evident to Sweater as he played. There's just like, especially on a professional level, there's way more that goes into like being good than just being able to shoot your gun. Cause like, I don't have the best aim, but I'm still pretty good, mainly because I'm like smart and can position myself well. Whereas like, if you play terrible positions, but you have really good gun skill, like you're always putting yourself in like 50-50s and stuff like that. So it's just like, there's just like Rainbow specifically, there's a lot more that goes into it than just having like nasty aim, unless you're just like insane, like Slubin or something.
And yeah, there's like players out there who like have the aim to like forgive like bad positioning, wherever it may be, like Slubin, etc. Like sometimes he'll make a mistake, but he can get out of it because he's good enough mechanically. But like as a new player, like the underagers who have like that crazy aim, I think the main thing they need to take in terms of like moving to that next step where they're going to be like a top player in pro league, like a top like level performer consistently, is actually like listening to the older players on their team who have been there for years. And like, yeah, maybe that player's not as good as you mechanically, but that player's probably going to be smarter than you. Like, for me, for example, I've been playing Pro League for 5 years. Like, if you were to listen to me and I'll tell you like where to position yourself, like, or like you listen to me like as IGL, whatever it may be, like I promise you, you would become a better player. It's just in terms of like I think that's why like, one of the reasons that Merc and like Fultz and those guys got so good so fast is because like Fultz even talks about it on Twitter all the time. He listened to the older players on his team who've been playing for years, and he like took all their like consideration and like put it into his own play style. And look at him, he's already the best player, probably like a top 5 player in the world after one season. Like that's pretty impressive. He's like went like plus 70 in Pro League. I think that's one of those things where it's just like if you're a young player and you're willing to learn, like that's like your main thing. Like no one has like a doubt that you can shoot your gun. It's just about if you're willing to like listen and like learn and develop your game like in other ways than just shooting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get a Pro League spot too, you have to show that you're like a grinder and not like you're working for it. You can't just assume like, oh, you know, it's my spot to lose kind of thing. It's kind of like your spot to take almost in that regard.
All right.
Question. Okay, so the next one is, what is your opinion on the rumored Chala to T?
I mean, I think Chala sucks, so I hope they pick Chala up.
I think it's a good pickup. Don't listen to him.
I think looking at his stats
it's a really good
last
pickup.
season was okay.
I mean, he was at the top in CL, wasn't he?
I think Chala's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's a good.
He did really well against Ollie. It's impressive.
Okay.
Stay toxic.
You don't have okay. You have any other thoughts? Like, why do you think they would want to put Pojo as a coach instead of playing?
I mean, from what I understand, they want a coach badly, but they do not think there are any coaches that can make an impact. And if they, you know, Pojo was originally going to be their coach, so if they were to, you know, move Pojo to coach and get like, even if it's like a stopgap player, they think that like having maybe a Pojo level replacement player with Pojo coaching is better than having like no coach or an inadequate coach with.
Why? This is what I don't get is right. Why are they bringing in? This has always been an issue in esports. People bring in or move players to coach like coach is an easy position. Coach is one of the most important positions in a team. It should be the.
In my opinion, like the problem of finding a good coach, I think why they moved Pojo to coach is that you need Rainbow, especially like you need a coach who was a former player and that was a good former player at one point. So like that's why I think SSG and DZ have like the best coaches, right? Because Lycan used to be a pro league player and he used to place like top 4 all the time, whatever it may be. Like, and then BC was obviously making like lands on EG all the time. So I think those are like the best coaches in terms of like knowing like what's going on.
A coach, yeah, I agree with you. It's great if they are an ex-player, but if they're not, if they have a good analyst and that person's good at delivering the information to the players, then that's just as valuable as somebody who used to be a player.
I mean, I think part of the issue with their team is I know that they want to try to play somewhat more organized in terms of like situational. Whereas like, you know, if you have an analyst who's really good with like numbers and stuff like that, like that's helpful to an extent, but that guy's not going to be able to make like strats for you or like coach you on how to play the game because like if you're like a silver who's really good at numbers, you're not going to be like, yo, Merc, what the hell are you doing? Merc's going to be like, shut up, man. Like, get your calculator out. Like, that's not like
Texas Instrument.
I'm not talking about Rainbow specifically, but I'm saying that's how I got into esports because 99% of the coaches that were involved in it were just ex-players who had no idea how to coach players. Coaching is more than just relaying information.
I mean, I think the thing is also with a coach is that you need to have someone that everyone on the team's going to respect and listen to, right? I think Pojo's like that kind of person for TSM where they like all like respect him as a person. Like you can't just bring in like
need an alpha.
Like imagine like if you were to bring in a coach in here who was like a fucking like a little nerd, like you think Seth would listen to that guy? Probably not. No, like you know what I mean? Like you need a coach who like has like some kind of like reputation behind him where he was a good player and you can respect like what he says. That's why I think BC is the best coach because like I know I played against BC. I know he was a good player at the time. I know he was a smart player. So if he's gonna teach me how to play or like try to correct my errors, I already know like he's trying to lead me in the right direction. It's not like just some like random person. That's just
yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm leaking anything by saying this, but like I know they don't want to drop Pojo because like they approached me to coach, and obviously if we weren't in pro league, then that'd probably be like something I'd consider. But like obviously as a player, there's no point. But yeah, I mean,
You said approach me.
what?
I said I wish they had approached me. I could have sold you.
I don't think they could afford me.
Been done with the curse.
I'm a valuable commodity. But yeah, I mean, I just don't. I don't think they necessarily want to drop Pojo. It's just like I said, like if they can get a guy who they think is a good coach and then like a replacement level player, even if that's only for a split or whatever, because you know there's always been rumors that TSM wanted to like try to get Pengu and stuff like that. Then like, or like you know even Fabian would maybe make sense for that team. But obviously with COVID, like any kind of international transfers are kind of screwed right now. But I mean, I think it makes sense from their point of view there.
Only time will tell, huh?
Yep.
The next one was actually from it's from Lags. Do you ever think you could go to coach since you play comp? Right now, no. I have absolutely no desire to play Siege or even no. I would say probably not. The game just has no appeal to me.
What do you think?
Hey!
All right, Slevin, we have to do our entrance for Slevin.
Slavin just woke up.
Yeah, I do that every day. Slevin gets here because I'm so excited to see his
Slevin,
smiling face.
Harvey was chewing on your mouse pad.
Not the one on your table, the one in the box.
Is one.
He hates
It
is what it is.
He hates FaZe.
Wait, sorry, what was the question? I like.
It was from me.
What do we think? Could Lauren become a coach?
Oh, what would we think about it? I mean,
no. Just do you think we could?
Oh, do you think?
You think she could?
For sure. I mean, I think anyone who played in pro league who hasn't understood. Like, the thing is like as long as you have an understanding of how competitive works and like how the game works, anyone can be a coach. But especially because you were a former player, it's just like you obviously have to put the effort in. And like,
yeah, I mean, right now there's like guys who are coaches just because like that's something that like because nobody sets out to be like, yeah, I want to be the next Rainbow Six. I want to be like Pat Riley of coaching.
I mean,
like,
yeah, there's definitely coaches out there that are stealing check A's. That's for sure. Like that's like
I think in general, like I think obviously like one issue right now is like the game is just now becoming. Like it just became tier 1 and like the money in the game has just recently became like good enough. Like it's pretty good, like middle income area where it's like, if you're a player right now, even if you're like, you know, my age as a player, like you don't want to like start thinking, like 19, but going on 50, but you don't want to like retire and then be like, put yourself as a coach when you think you can keep playing. And, you know, anybody who's playing doesn't want to retire too early. So like the coaches right now, like Liv was saying earlier, I mean, BC has experience as a player and obviously he was a great player and I mean he could still play if he wanted to. He just literally chose not to keep playing. And then, you know, like Lycan was a former player and they're probably the two best coaches. So I think like as people start retiring and moving into like that coach role, coaching will become like more important than right now. I mean, there's people like Bagel and stuff who are like getting paid money to like do whatever they do.
The thing is like the reason I think like you need a good like person who understands like comp and was a player before to be a coach is because I watched coaches stream the game and I'm just like, bro, how the can you be a pro league player, watch your coaches stream and be like, yo, this guy's telling me what to do? Like, what the like, bro, some of these coaches are just like absolutely like lost. So like I feel like having that person try to coach you just like, you know what I mean? It's like what this guy
I mean,
do?
I feel like part of it too. Yeah, like part of it is I don't even think teams right now recognize like if you've never been on it, like if you've never been on a team with a good coach, then you have no idea what a good coach even is. So like like for a lot of it's just like you're having a coach because you know that you should have a coach.
Yeah, for me, like there are people out there who don't really like play the game that have the potential to be good coaches as long as they're like motivated and like understand the game. Like Reaper on Rogue, for example, I think is like one of the smartest people about Rainbow, and he doesn't even play. But like it's just easier to be a good coach if you were a good player. What I guess I was trying to say, like you don't need to be a former player / a good player to like be a coach, but it makes it easier.
Seth, would you ever consider retiring?
I mean, when I think I suck, yeah.
You would coach?
When I think I suck, I don't plan on doing that anytime soon, or I would have left for TSM. What?
That surprises me.
Doesn't Chaos have like a 40-year-old player?
No, he's not 40. He's like 20 something. They just troll that and say that he's like 40.
I mean, I'm like 19 now, so if I play till I got like 10 years left. I play like I'm 30 or so.
Oh.
The nuts and Diet Coke keep me young.
That's right. Don't forget the fish oil.
All right. The next question is: do you think Latin America and NA will have an advantage in majors due to playing on lane?
No.
I mean, Latin America has been playing on LAN for like a while, so no, I don't think it really matters.
LATAM has been playing on LAN since year 2. They've been having the BR6 league.
I mean, and to be honest, like the majority, like at least lately, like the majority of the teams that make the LANs are the teams that are always at the LAN. So like it's really only a big deal to go to an event as like if you're a team who's like never been there, right? So like say like I don't know, like say E United made like a major, they might be like shaken on stage, but for the most part, like you know, all the teams from NA and EU and like LATAM that make the majors for the most part are teams that have been there like for years. So like I don't think that like plays any part into it. The like major deal there is like obviously the teams that are for whatever reason better online than they are on LAN, like a Rogue in EU or in EU. So like that kind of thing, obviously. But
me personally, I don't think there's such a thing as LAN jitters. I think you're either made for this shit or you're not. You have ice in your veins or you don't. Simple as that. Like I don't know. I feel like if you're shaking on your first LAN, like you're just a nervous bitch. That's all it is. You got to be fucking cold-blooded out there. First game on LAN. Like,
Kevin.
Like look at Bolo's first LAN. DreamHack Montreal. That fool went like +60. That fool was ice in his veins.
Yeah, I mean the idea that you're getting like nervous on a LAN environment doesn't really make sense to me because like if you're playing Pro League online or something, like there's still like you know there's 25,000 people watching, and then they put it YouTube and another like 100,000 or whatever see it. So like it's not like you know the only difference is that like there's a couple like depending on where you at, there's a couple hundred or a couple thousand people watching you in person. Like there's no real reason that you should be just shaking unless you're just like I don't know.
So like
the reason. Go ahead, Kev. I was going to say my opinion would be the only thing that I think could be more prepared or make the NA region stronger is I think you might, because it's going to be a LAN league and probably a better setup than EU, you might see EU players wanting to come and play in NA.
I mean, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like
that may drive up the talent pool to a
I mean,
we
obviously have EU players on our team already, and I've personally been messaged by a couple EU players as well. So like, I definitely know that EU people are looking to come to NA, whether that's because it's just they want to live in America or, you know, they want the LAN league. But I mean, I definitely think it's going to have, NA I think is quickly going to become the most talent rich league, I guess, which my question about that, like obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the future is like we originally obviously were planning on going to 10 teams, and if we're saying like NA is the best region right now and you know there are a lot of people looking to come to NA, will Ubisoft still you know go to 10 teams? Because right now I think every region's at 10 teams except us, so like
I would hope so.
Yeah, I think they will. But yeah, going back
I will push for it.
I mean, the
I know
fact
I'm
that
going
they
to push
initially announced that it was going to 10 teams, I feel like they're eventually going to try to go back.
Yeah, I mean they probably will. But
It's just a
going back-
scheduling thing.
Going back to the original question, some people thrive under pressure, some people crumble like a bag of chips. Like you just gotta know, like you just gotta be going into every single game confident. Going back to the original question, that's all it is.
I would say the opposite. I would say you are allowed to be nervous if you're young and it's your first one. You can get better. You can improve. So.
I'll slap the out of you if I see you shaking like a Jamaican.
Do we know if like the Vegas LAN is going to be something open for people to go and like spectate?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Closed?
I think it will. If it does, if it is open, it will be for a small amount of people, maybe 75 to 150 people. I don't think it's not going to be a studio. It'll be like the LCS studio. I've not seen it, so I can only make assumptions. But from what other people have done, you're not going to get 2,000-3,000 people coming to see it every week. If you have it like 70 to 100, 150 people,
People are flying
Yeah.
into Vegas like, chill. We gotta watch the Rainbow Land. Let's fucking go.
yeah, I think it'll be I think it will have seating. Would be my opinion, and it'd be a small amount.
I mean, it's probably gonna be like the HyperX arena, like something that in that size. That's
Yep.
probably gonna be like 100 seats or something.
What's the craziest NA roster that never happened?
Ooh.
Well, I know a few involving Geo was supposed to join G2 at one point, and then Geo also was going to join Dark Zero at one point. These were both with him leaving EG. I know like there's a lot of on Rogue as well in terms of. Oh, I think Bosco was supposed to join Dark Zero as well at one point.
I think after Paris, it was like we were gonna drop Brian for Bosco, so it would have been me / Tyler, Geo, and Bosco, and that roster might have won like 7 chips. Like, so I don't know. That would have been a crazy one. And then
Bosco is a hot commodity.
I mean, that fool's nasty. But like, and then I also think like the EU had a lot of like crazy roster moves like that almost went through, or like didn't go through. Like obviously Pengu, if the rumors are true that he wanted to come to NA, like that would have been probably the craziest.
Think
move
of
that
what his
happened.
buyout would be, though. I think his buyout alone is like why people would say no.
I heard at one point he wanted to join Luminosity, like when they were 92 Dream Team, and it just was like his buyout's like so ridiculous that would never happen.
Yeah.
That's just gonna be a waiting factor until it cracks up.
And then I think it's like past news now. It might end up happening, but like obviously Fabian was supposed to join Rogue, and that like obviously never happened. Maybe it happens now, but
Do you see Fabian coming to NA or Leon for that matter?
I mean, I think they're both interested. I don't know if like obviously right now it literally can't happen. So maybe to be honest, if the timing was different right now, I think one or both would probably be in NA. But given what's going on right now, I think for the time being they stay EU.
Yeah, with the backup of visas now, I mean, visa applications right now, if you wanted to start one, would probably take 6 to 8 months. So if that does happen, it's not going to happen until next season. So,
speaking of other transfers, I think the hottest commodity right now that like a team should go for is Meepy as a coach. I think Meepy can still play, but I think Meepy would be one of the best coaches if he were to actually commit to coaching. So that's a hot take for any team.
Yeah, that's like a good point too. Is like we were talking about how there's not a lot of retired players or players on the cusp. Meepy's been an IGL, so that's a plus. Whereas like you would think he's smart, and then he's been around for a while, and I think he has the respect of a lot of people. So that's like, if I were looking for a coach, I think in general you want somebody who's like probably an IGL, because that means they're like maybe more used to like voicing themselves and also just in general smarter, and then somebody with obviously like pro league experience, so that like strat wise and like mentality wise it's on that pro league level. So I think like Meepy's like a perfect commodity there.
I think one of the most valuable things a coach can do is that like even though teams are going to say they don't, every team does it. Like online has their coach in the team speak, like, and calls out like adjustments and shit for them. Like obviously, like every single team does it. So like I feel like at least for all the leagues not going to LAN, like having a coach that was like a former IGL is going to help you like tremendously, at least online. Obviously, like you have to like learn how to do it yourself eventually for LAN, but like that's like a big step forward, like helping you to like at least develop online, and then over time like you can actually learn how to do that yourself and then transfer it into LAN.
My dog's looking at me.
Okay. What do you guys think about the tempo storm change?
I thought Mark staying on that roster was a no-brainer. It just was a matter of for who. I guess they thought Butters was the person that they wanted to replace. So I don't know if Sloppy's the best replacement because I don't really know too much about Sloppy. I've never really like watched him play or anything, so I don't know. But if they're happy with that change, then I guess good for them. I don't, like I said, I thought Butters personally was a good player. I always thought Butters was probably one of the better players on that team, but I guess they thought something. I don't know if it was like attitude wise or what, that they didn't want to keep playing with Butters, so they decided to get Sloppy. Um, and so I guess when they picked up Sloppy, like there was already something they committed to for a while because it was leaked a long time before they actually officially put him on the roster that they wanted to get him and started working through the process. So that's probably something that like they want. They're probably something that they want and they feel confident with. So
Yeah, I think keeping Mark obviously made sense for them. The fact that Crazy's like lasted as long as he does on the team is a little confusing to me because I mean I think that guy's an IGL and they're like awful on attack, and then he's also a player and he's awful at playing, so it's hard to justify how he's managed to stay on the team that long, especially when you look at like the amount of free agents that are available right now. He's just like not good. But anyway,
I think Crazy's a good player.
he's lie. Do not believe him.
I've spoken to him. He seems like a really nice guy to me. So
Sure.
I like Crazy. Next question. What team are you guys looking forward to facing the most?
I mean, obviously it's the hardest challenge, but if we were to play like SSG, I think SSG is that team where it's like that's the team to beat. I think if you beat SSG right now, you can beat anyone. So that's just like if you ever beat SSG, like obviously it's like a hard overcome, but if you beat SSG, like your confidence is through the roof and you beat absolutely anyone. So I think SSG is the team to play. Beat.
I mean, there are just certain people that I would like never lose to. So, you know, like playing Tempo Storm's obviously always fun because it's just like, you know, that's going to be a good day. If Chala joins TSM, I'll look forward to that as well.
I mean, I don't know. I would probably say Tempo Storm as well, just because we've had some good rivalry there already. So
We've never lost to him. We also never lost to Rogue.
That's ridiculous.
They're right, Kevin.
Like I said, there are just certain people I'll never lose to.
okay.
I don't know if I have any other questions. Chat, do you guys have any more questions you want? I need like 50 minutes. Off-topic question, but does it look like Supr is about to go chop down some wood?
I mean,
I can't imagine Supr.
This podcast we got with the chop outside.
Yep.
I've got $5 says that Easley's actually playing RuneScape right now.
I'm not. I've been
Minecraft.
a couple weeks. I was getting trolled. So I can stop playing for a while, Darren. Should have seen me outside on the monitor.
Who else could you guys see TSM try? Wait, we're gonna start talking about TSM.
Oh, most underrated pro player. I like that question. Thinking Nade, 100%.
Watching Thinking Nade.
Have you? No one appreciates Thinking Nade until you try to flank against Thinking Nade, and then you just hit a top head on the roof. And anyone who's ever scrimmed or played against SAG knows about the top head on the roof with 45 seconds left in the flank. That shit's an absolute travesty. You all play? Oh, my bad, Nade. On me.
What advice would you give to a new player?
In regards to that question, I think Forrest is kind of underrated.
Forrest?
I think people think he's kind of like an idiot, which maybe he is, but he's pretty good too. I mean, I think he had a good performance last season as well to kind of back that up, but I don't really hear him talked about as somebody who's good.
So,
what advice would you give to a new player?
That's a competitive player.
In my opinion, like if you're already like I asked this earlier, but if you're one of those players who are already like, really good mechanically, and then you get a chance to play with people who are experienced, like whatever it may be, like say it's like someone we picked up on Soniqs that's like a new blood, you have to be willing to listen and like learn. And like nobody's ever doubt your ability to shoot your gun. And that's why you're getting picked up. You have to learn how to play the game in terms of like an organized, structured manner. And that's how like the best teams play right now. So like you have to understand like all the rank stuff isn't gonna fly. You have to sit here and like you have to like actually like learn positioning, learn utility usage, learn work on your weak points, take criticism well. Uh, that's pretty much my best advice. Like I think
Yeah.
the best thing you can bring to the table as an underager is like work ethic and motivation to get better. If you talk to EZ, if you talk to TSM, you talk to SNG, like Full Hyperbolo, like whoever, all those guys who came in, like all those guys are grinders. All those guys grinded the game. All those guys are like listening to the players on their team who have been there for years. Discover the best up and coming player, in my opinion, is NJR.
I think like just backing up what he said as well, if you're like an up and coming player, you need to be able to play more than just like Zofia. Like the amount of like underage or like competitive players who can literally only play like Jaeger, Zofia, Ash, like fragging operators, like trust me, there's way more people who have really good aim than there are people who are smart. So if you kind of focus on being like a good support player or a good IGL or a good, Heartbreak, like that kind of player, I think there's way more opportunities for you there than there are be to like try to take like Slubbin's job or something, because it's just like that's just not realistic to me. Like you need to be diverse and able to play like flex. Like you're like I don't think people understand how hard it is to try to step into a pro level team and then just try to play entry. Like it's just like you're just gonna get worked for the most part.
Like, in my opinion, like if I'm gonna pick up like an underager, you need to be able to play more than Zofia only or whatever, or Ash only, because like we have Slubbin on the team. You're not gonna be better than Slubbin because one, Slubbin's insane mechanically, and two, Slubbin already has experience on how to like clear against pro teams, like how to use utility, what routes you have to take against certain setups, right? Like Slubbin already knows. So why would I pick up Zofia Yanker, who's gonna hinder Slubbin's play when he's already better, right? That's why I think like you have to be able to play multiple roles. You have to be able to watch flanks, because at any given point you're gonna have to watch a flank at some point in a match. Like you have to know how to do all that little stuff. Like that's why in my opinion, Lax is probably the second best player, not in pro league behind NJR. Like assuming like we have Sweater on our team already, those would be my top players. If you watch the way they play like more than just Sophia or more than just like Ash. They play like their utility roles. They know how to use their utility, even though they don't have as much experience. And then those are the type of players that already have like the experience in different roles, have work ethic to like improve on the roles that they're not that great at. So they're just have the most flexibility. And I think flexibility is the one thing that is like Supr said, is just the most like the thing you want the most. You can't just have like a one op rule nowadays.
And from an org side of things, just behave yourself. Don't break the rules. Don't be too outspoken on topics.
Don't pull a hide.
You know, yeah.
Just
Don't do stupid things.
We hate outspoken people on the Soniqs. You better keep
We do.
yourself in line.
We're only allowed one. So
Darren,
iconic.
did you
I'd probably put you in my top 5.
did you see Hoax's question, Darren?
no. What was it?
Does the org plan on integrating physical fitness as a means to combat the stress that your players deal with both in and out of the competitive environment?
We
This
have
is
like
when a team will be
we have,
living
like,
away
a-
from the HQ and acting more independently, and he's saying like not necessarily just physical fitness. It could also be like
Yeah, mental wellness,
Mental.
physical, mental wellness.
we have
I
like
know.
a gulag set up downstairs if shit gets crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Basement.
what we do is like whoever has the two people with the most opening deaths have to go into the octagon downstairs at the end of the
basement.
day. Yep. And like
Well,
if
on,
you
a-
have
on,
over-
on a
if you have-
serious
if you have over
on a serious note,
you gotta fight hard.
it's hard to sometimes implement that into esports. I remember we tried doing it in League of Legends, and you got some great results from some people and terrible results from others, because you can't. At the end of the day, the way I see it is, if somebody wants to do it and wants to better themselves, you should give them the option to do it. If they're performing at the top level and you think you can improve it by improving physical fitness or whatever it may be, yes, go with them. But if it starts having an adverse effect, you can't really force people to do something they don't want to do if it's going to affect their performance. This isn't a physical sport, so making people get up and do yoga and go for a run and go out on bike rides and hiking. If you don't want to do that, you shouldn't be forced to do it. But you should explain to the players the benefits of it, and if they it's not having an adverse effect, then yeah, it's great. But if it's making somebody miserable, then no, it's not great.
I can see Seth
So
having like a stressful game and just pulling out a yoga mat.
I mean, every single person has different things that they can do to get into like the right mental state. You just have to find what your thing is, like, and just. I think the number like a really good thing for like, people in esports to have is like some kind of routine, like every single day, so that way, like, when the match day comes, it feels like just like another day of practice. Like you do your whatever, you work out in the morning, you eat breakfast, you like chill for a bit, you get like to the facility 2 hours early, do your warm up routine, whatever. And the match day is the exact same as the script.
Yeah, I think it's really important to like have a kind of a routine developed of like how you warm up for scrims or whatever, how you have like go day to day. Because like if you're somebody who stays up till 6 a.m. every day, and you wake up at 5 and then you go play your scrim, but then on the day that you have a pro league match, you have to change. You're going to bed at midnight, waking up at like noon, 11 a.m. and then like you got all this extra time you don't know what to do with. Like I think you probably are gonna feel off, and you're not gonna be like, it's better to just always be on the same schedule than it's gonna be to like, oh well, today I have a match, I better go to bed early, and because you're not gonna be in the same like mental space that you would be if you're like, okay, I'll warm up now, I go eat lunch, whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like consistency in your life is gonna help consistency in the game. Like whatever you do, just like be consistent with it outside of the game, so that way, like like Seth said, you're not changing your schedule the day of a match, and then you're just like, wait, I just feel out of it. What's going on? Like, because you're changing yourself up, you're just not ready.
That's one of the big things is like new players that come into the professional scenes, which I see happen all the time, is once they make it into a professional team, they completely take their foot off the gas and they think, now that I've made it, I'm good.
Oh yeah.
The amount of times you see people, become worse once they make it to a pro league is incredibly high, just because, you've got to be self-driven to become the best. And as they said, make schedules and push yourself forward. If you're not doing that, other people will. You do 100%. See that an alarming rate in esports where people lose motivation once they've made it. It's all about getting there, not sustaining yourself whilst you're there.
Yeah, the thing is like in NA, right? Like if you look at the numbers, there's 8 teams, 5 players on each team, so there's 40 people, right? Like 40 people who are pro players in NA, and like think about how many people there are trying to make pro league in NA. It's got to be at least like 1,000 people plus trying to like play competitive, even if it's like a tier 3 leagues or whatever it may be. Like eventually, if you stop grinding, like, you might be better for a couple months, maybe a year, but eventually those people are going to overtake you. You got to sit here and like you have to sit here and grind every single day. Like maybe not every day. I mean, like often here and there, it's like whatever. But if you're sitting here every day and like you're just like showing up to practice, and that's all you do every day is just scrim 3 hours or whatever, 4 hours, and then after that you just go like fuck off and do whatever. Like that's not enough. Like, there are gonna be people out there that are putting in like 10-hour days, whether it's game training, dry runs, whatever. There's on top of scrimming, like they're doing like 8 to 10 hour days. Eventually, that person's gonna overtake you. They might not be better than you mechanically, but they're gonna like definitely put in more work than you and eventually overtake you. So
I have no idea where Darren went, but this might be the last question. Say like next season, Ubisoft decides to go back to 10 teams. What 2 rosters would you want to fill, I guess, those 2 spots?
I mean,
what 2 rosters do you think?
I mean, the Luminosity roster obviously should probably have a spot, and then I think EG's terrible. So, like, out of that, you could probably put together like like the PogChamp kind of team, like one of the CL teams, or like one of those kind of teams.
I'd probably say like I think Bruh is actually pretty good. Like Bruh, like it kind of reminds me of Iconics team in that like they kind of do like stupid stuff like in terms of how they play, but they do it together. So it's like a dumbass brigade, like all coming together. Like you know what I mean? Like but like it's like teams unorganized, but actually it is. They all like play pretty pretty aggressive as a unit, so it kind of works. And I actually kinda like that about their team. Same with Champ, I guess you could say. Like those two teams kind of remind me of like how they play together. So I would say those are probably my two teams, Bruh and PogChamp. Like like their strats might not seem the greatest, but their teamwork is there. So
Me personally, if it's going to be next year, by the time the new season rolls around, I think it should just be opened up to top 2 CL.
I could get behind that as well. Also, the team that I'm not trying to sound biased when I say this because I have a lot of good friends on that team, but I do think Vanquish is also like probably one of my highest contenders to be in Pro League because one, they have good players, and two, like I think they understand the meta really well. I think they play really organized. Um, they do struggle with like the randomness teams, which is why they didn't place top 2 in CL. But I think they would play a lot better against a Pro League level team than like a challenger level team, just because of like how like the teams play. Like teams in CL kind of do.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say from like obviously lived in place. Yeah, we played it one time, but like it's almost harder to play against CL teams than it is Pro League teams because the stuff CL teams do like doesn't make sense. Whereas like pro teams, like if you have really good game sense and whatnot against pro teams, like for the most part, you can anticipate like a lot of the stuff they're doing. Where if you're playing like Yardy in CL, like this guy might come flying out a window with smoke in like the first 15 seconds, and you just like you're like, what the is this guy doing? But I mean, that kind of stuff will work. I mean, I think that's also why 92 Dream Team like first season in Pro League was like pretty yeah, they performed pretty well, and like kind of this last season they didn't do as well is because like that randomness of like just we call it like maybe coordinated stupid. I mean it does work against a certain kind of team, for sure.
So like I mean, for example, like if you're playing smoke against SSG and you throw a smoke in a doorway, like no one on SSG is like dumb enough to run through that smoke, so you're most likely gonna smoke that off and then look at something else. But like, say you're playing against like Timmy Turn or whoever in CL, and you smoke a door, you can't not look at that door. Timmy doesn't give a shit that it's smoked. He might sprint through that and just try to take a gunfight with you in a smoke. But like, if you're playing against good teams, you're gonna be looking away from that. And he's actually gonna work and catch you off guard. I think it's just like really hard to predict sometimes in CL. So I think it's why like a lot of the teams like Vanquish, for example, like I think would do better in Pro League than they did in CL.
I'll just before we wrap it up, I gotta shoot now because I've got to go out. But the questions there I see in the chat about relegation, etc., etc. As far as I'm aware, if you get relegated, you're in CL. Orgs don't. If this isn't a franchise league, we don't keep a spot and then pick up a new roster. That's not how it works. I'm pretty sure if it was to expand. Coming from a GM perspective, looking outside in at Rainbow Six, it's a really lucrative and fast-growing esport. That I think if orgs have aspirations to be in top quality esports competitions, that I think you're going to see a lot more people entering Rainbow Six or wanting to enter Rainbow Six. So if it did expand to 10 teams, I'm sure throughout the season, certain teams would be contacted or would be asked to take a look at the scene and if they wanted to be in it. And honestly, looking at it, and I've looked at many different scenes, Rainbow Six is one of the better ones out there, hence why we made the investment we did to get into it. So yeah, it's a big misconception, especially on Reddit, that people think that this is a franchise league and the teams that are in. No, they just wanted the teams that could financially stable teams that are going to be able to support rosters in Las Vegas on an online season for the 9 months that the season is on. Does that mean that if a unsigned team does make it and nobody comes to pick them up, that the team that gets relegated could pick that roster up? I don't know. I wouldn't see why not. But from my experience, that's not something that orgs like to do. You don't, players are, they're members of staff. You get to know them over time. You want to see them do well. It's very hard to just dump people that you've been working with for a year or two and bring in, and just say like, right, you're out, you're in, sort of thing. That's not something that's normally done within orgs. So yeah, no, it's not a franchise league, and it's not, relegation does exist. So I would say the future is bright, and you'll see a lot more orgs wanting to be a part of this this US Nationals League, given the chance. Do you have to meet the pilot program criteria as a CL org before going into PL? Again, can't tell you much about that. But the pilot program criteria and stuff is not the same as it was in Rainbow Six Pro League. This is a different system altogether. So, I mean, yes, I would say that, you know, when we applied, we had to meet certain standards that we could, you know, supply to our players. I'm sure that if you are going to go into CL and try and pick a team, that you should, you know, unless you're, you know, if you're players in CL, why would you sign with an org that can't supply you that, right? If you're a CL team and you say, right, well, we have a great chance of making it to PL, you want to make sure that if you sign with an org, that org has the financial backing and has the stability to support you in Pro League. Otherwise, stay unsigned until a team that can comes along.
Yeah, I do think that is. I think signing with an org for some G Fuel on a T-shirt in CL is just like a huge mistake.
I mean, I've told like a lot of the 18-year-old players, like especially first-year CL players who do well, like I personally would not sign to anyone, because I mean, even if your team doesn't like have an opportunity to make Pro League, or like you know you have to wait a long time, you know, like look at us, for instance, we're trying out a bunch of people who maybe didn't think they had an opportunity to get in Pro League. Now, if any of those people were under a contract where we were to have to buy them out of it, like we're not going to buy out an unproven player. So like if I saw like Bruh, for instance, tweeting out that they're looking for an org, and if I'm like sipping on OJ or like Anthony Migos or like that J guy, like I'm like, you know, I'm not so sure about that one, Chief. Like I want to keep my options open, so I'm not like stuck, you know, in CL for a year if I were to, you know, have the chance for a Pro League contract. Because like, just, you know, obviously we're not gonna, you know, if somebody wants like, you know, $5,000 to get some guy making $100 a month and a tub of G Fuel, like, then, you know, good luck in like CCS or whatever.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like if you're one of those players on like Bruh or like PogChamp or whatever, like where, you know, like there's gonna be interest in acquiring you maybe down the line, like do not sign a contract so you can get a T-shirt and like get a jersey,
even for a couple of $100 a month.
Yeah,
like,
it's like
think
it's
about
not
your
worth
future.
It. You gotta think about it, right? Like eventually, like you could be in Pro League getting I'm not gonna disclose salaries, obviously, but like you could be getting a Pro League salary plus like your whatever your cut is from the pilot program. All that's gonna overtake whatever you're making right now in CL. Like that like $17 T-shirt that you're gonna get, or like that like $50 jersey, like that's not gonna mean anything down the line, because like if you get picked up by a pro team, like you're gonna make more than that. Like you don't want to like not give yourself an opportunity to get picked up by a pro league team because you signed to an org that's charging you $5,000 to get bought out, and you're like an unproven like pro league player. Like don't let that ruin your chances.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're, you know, if they're paying you like a good, you know, if you're getting like 1,500, 2K a month or whatever, that's kind of different, because at least like you're kind of offsetting what you're getting. But if you're getting like 100, $200, whatever, like that's obviously just, it's stupid to sign at that point. Like it's not worth it. Like if you need money that bad, go like and drive Uber or something.
I mean, yeah, you can get like a job during the day and probably make more money than that. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, just you don't want to regret not getting a shot on like a team because the team that you're trying out for didn't want to pay like Paper Plate Gaming like $10,000 for you because you're an unproven player. You know what I mean? Like, you just want to like, you just want to make sure like you always have an option.
All right, I'm gonna have to shoot because I've got to go, and I've got other things to do before I settle down for the evening. So
that's fine. We can wrap it up. You have anything else you want to say, Darren?
No, I'm good. If you have anyone has any more questions, I'm sure you can ask me somewhere else on Twitter or something.
His DMs are open. Slide in.
Are they?
I think so.
Oh, they are. Yeah, they are. Go ahead, slide in.
Make sure if you guys have any questions about our roster moves, you DM Darren personally.
Don't DM Supr or Easilyy. Just go straight to Darren.
Yeah, just DM Darren personally.
Just
But anything.
Just don't ever contact me and then be like,
That's
All right.
it.
Thank you. I gotta shoot.